It's very early this morning, about 8 o'clock. Very cold, windy. I think it's our first night below freezing. And I just wanted to come outside and do something a little different. You know, when I bought this house in 2009, I was primarily attracted to its shape and the interior design. 4 levels, very interestingly built. I'd never had a house like this. It was interesting from the front, although in addition to having just a good lawn, there was nothing else. So the front was basically kind of ugly. The sides were ugly. Both the north and south sides were just barren. The north side was ugly, flat and grassy. So when I moved here in the winter of 2009, all of this backyard was just grass. The back of the house was hideous. It just seemed unfinished, like no one had ever given it any thought. I liked the color, but it was just a slab of brown. And so little by little I thought of ways to improve it. Simple things at first. Just the rudimentary kinds of improvements, like planting some trees. There were 2 large trees out here, hideously misshapen and dangerously tall. So I planted, within a short time, 11 trees, and eventually took out the 2 that were bad. I have brought with me my cup of coffee. It's 28 degrees out here. The bread, however, is not mine. That is left for the birds. I had a nice partial loaf of bread that was starting to get a little moldy on the outside, so I saved it in the freezer and I bring it out now and then for the birds. So that's just gonna stay here. My coffee is is hot, or at least for now it is. The bench kind of resembles the altar that sometimes is decorated with the chalice and the bread and the wine. That's just coincidental. It occurred to me in the first year of living here that while the house had the design and inspiration of a progressive mind, a thoughtful, positive energy, that the backyard was just empty and somehow did not match the progressive energy of the house. In fact, the backyard was conservative to a fault. And I think there's a lot to be said about minimalism. Sometimes it has the most attractive design characteristics. But I don't think it's a lifestyle that most of us want. You know, we want a nicer car, not a smaller, old one. And I just thought there needs to be some way to bring this property up to date, up to character, if you will. If I may comment on something which is not exactly a pet peeve, but it just is a comment I often hear, which isn't quite the truth, and that is, oh, it took a lot of work. That looks like so much work. Well, I can't disagree with that, but at the same time, I don't see things so much as difficulty as much as I see it as any project is going to be work, but the value is what you hold up as your measure of value, not the effort that you put into it. I have been that way, I think, all my life. Not being afraid of the work. I understand that when people compliment about the work that it takes, that they're just acknowledging that you did exercise a great deal of effort, and I appreciate that. I never turn that down. But I just think it's important to be clear about the concept of doing something for yourself that's different, unique. In my case, I've had very little help. A friend that sort of advises me on whether to do or not do something and help me maybe load it into the car. I appreciate that, but sometimes you just we all need the sense of accomplishment of having done something ourselves and improving what we had. We all know that as gardeners. Sometimes we improve our properties for resale, and I say, don't do that. You've wasted your effort. If you haven't done it by then, don't bother. Do it for yourself. My neighbors sometimes appreciate the things that I've done because this part of my backyard faces them. It's on a corner lot. Sometimes people, I know it's meant as a compliment, but they'll say, oh, it costs so much. How did you spent so much money on this? Well, I don't know. Did I? I don't know. Sometimes you can get awfully discouraged if you count money as, or make money the measure of your work. What you do can't always be measured in dollars. If I counted the money I've spent, I suppose, yeah, I've spent a lot of money. But I never do that. I never plan ahead. It doesn't help me to know that. If I counted or planned, let's see, how do I want to say this? If I made a plan and thought, well, this is going to cost $1,000, then I'm sure I would never do it. I would stop right then, I'd put it away, I'd say, well, this is going to cost too much, I don't have $1,000. But that's not how I work. Instead, I say, I've got $20. So I'll buy 2 of these posts and some cement. Besides, that's all I can do today anyway, right? I can't do all of this in one day or one week. It's going to take a while. So spend $20. And there you have it. It cost me $20. That's what I say. Just my philosophy. Maybe you can make it work for you, maybe not. It's a beautiful day. My hands are freezing. Like a friend of mine says in Ireland, you're in the front seat of a roller coaster, clutching your bag of frogs.